Now that you've defined your target personas or your target audience, the first pillar of your marketing strategy is creating or articulating your products or services. But before you dive right into building those products and services, which I know can be really exciting, the first thing that you'll want to reflect on is, who do you want to be as a company? And you may be an established company, in which case it might be a good idea just to reflect on how you feel that you've positioned your brand and if there's any changes that you want to make so you can really wrap those products and services around that objective. All of that begins with your vision and mission. Now, you may have already written a vision and a mission statement, in which case this is a good checkpoint or review for you, or you may not have either of those statements in place, in which case, before you go any further, make sure that you create the vision and the mission statement for your company. Now, what are these? Because I often see people mix up the two, merge the two, but they really are distinctly different. Your vision is essentially your guiding beliefs and purpose as a company. It's the statement of your values. It's your truths. I like to think of it as the North Star that will always be constant and will guide your business as you navigate it through the rough waters of your competitors and through market changes. Your mission, on the other hand, is what you do. So that may change a little bit in time, but your vision statement is something that normally when you establish your company, your vision remains true. So it tends to be a loftier purpose or a loftier direction. Let me give you a couple of examples of vision statements from some big companies that I'm sure you know. Amazon. Our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. You notice there was nowhere in here that they articulated selling books, which is how Amazon began. And now, of course, they sell absolutely everything. IBM, their vision is dedication to every customer's success, innovation that matters for our company and for the world, trust and personal responsibility in all relationships. So that gives you an idea of, when IBM is making decisions, of the core values of the company that will be really important to guide that direction. Trust and personal responsibility. So that makes me feel like accountability, like not making excuses, always innovating, thinking of creative new ways to tackle a market, that would be core to the foundation of that company. Avon, to be the company that best understands and satisfies the product, service, and self-fulfillment needs of women globally. Now, interestingly, that vision statement was created many, many years ago, and hopefully Avon is opening that up to be more inclusive these days, but you do see the foundation upon which the company was created. Now, the loftier business or the loftier purpose or reason for being is really something that you want to make sure that you hold on to. And there's many reasons for that. There's a trend that we're seeing in business today where more and more people really care not just about the products and services that you sell, but the type of company that they're buying from and what they stand for. Employees care about who they're working for. I like to use the example, would you rather work for Whole Foods or Monsanto? No offense to anyone who happens to work for Monsanto, but personally, I would rather work for a company that has a business or mission and a vision of doing good in the world. So that's something that really can set the right foundation for your company. Now, your company's mission statement, on the other hand, describes your purpose and the objectives. So whereas your vision is more of your why, your mission is more of your what. And your mission, as a result, can evolve in time. Let me give you the example of Apple's mission statement. And there are several versions of this online, but here is an abbreviated one. Apple is committed to bringing the best personal computing experience to students, educators, creative professionals, and consumers around the world through its innovative hardware, software, and internet offerings. So Apple's probably not about to sell food anytime. They're being specific as to the product lines that they sell, but still broad enough that they can innovate within those categories. Let's look at BMW. The BMW Group is the world's leading provider of premium products and premium services for individual mobility. The BMW brand stands for one thing: sheer driving pleasure. Sporting and dynamic performance combined with superb design and exclusive quality. So you notice nowhere in there did BMW mention we sell cars, because they're talking about driving. Driving may evolve with time. What I drive, maybe it's a motorcycle, maybe it's a truck, maybe it's a car, maybe it's a spaceship in the future. BMW's mission statement will still carry them there, but the foundation for them is just the pleasure of driving and performance. So they're going to really give direction to their product development, their engineering team based on that mission. So that should give you some ideas as to creating your vision and your mission statement. I would suggest if you add both to your website, maybe on your About Us page, put them prominently across your homepage, on your footer, depending on your design. Any company documents should include your vision and your mission. It's a really important way to articulate what you're all about as an organization. Now, I'm sure many of you remember the movie Up. It's one of my favorite animated movies, and the distracted dog completely cracks me up. The story's sweet too, but I just really love the dog, and he keeps turning around and getting distracted and pointing at something, and you know, he's after squirrels. I've worked with a client before that used to talk about getting very distracted, and when someone went off on a tangent, somebody would yell "squirrel." So I think it's just a really fun way to think about what happens a lot of the time with companies, with entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are in general very creative, innovative people. They purposefully have chosen not to be part of the corporate mold. They want to set their own course and set their own direction. So that has a lot of positives to it. One of the challenges is it can also create what a lot of people refer to as shiny object syndrome, which is very similar to that dog pointing at the squirrel, where entrepreneurs can get distracted and suddenly follow a new course. So the challenge when you're creating a company, especially with startups, you see this a lot with tech startups, is if you keep tacking with the wind and you don't have a specific charted course for your company, every time you move, all of your employees and all of your suppliers need to shuffle around and figure out what the next priority is. So those glittery distractions, as fun as they might be, and as interesting as that might be for little side pilots, can really detract from actually growing your business. So if you're an entrepreneur, do your best to choose that vision and mission, and try to make sure that you really focus your business in that direction. Now, a famous author that I really love is Simon Sinek, and one of his original works was called Start With Why: How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. If you haven't read it, I really encourage you to do so. He has a number of videos that he's recorded as well, but the basic premise of that book is something that he called the Golden Circle. Now, that premise is that few companies can clearly articulate why they do what they do, other than just to make money. This is especially true, obviously, in the corporate space. Many of them are able to describe what they do, obviously, what they bring to market, and that's why I wanted you to pause before developing your products. But the why is really their vision. It's why are we on this earth? The next part of that golden circle is how, and the how really goes beyond describing your internal processes, but it's the unique selling proposition of what makes you different and would motivate someone to become your client. Now, you just did the segment on buyer personas, so remember who we're targeting, and your how needs to be very focused on your target buyer personas. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs get really excited about the service idea or the product idea that they have, and they think we're the only ones doing this. Well, you may be the only one doing specifically what you're about to launch, but that doesn't mean that you don't have other competitors. I think one of my favorite examples from business school back in the day was that if the railroads had defined themselves as being in the transportation business, maybe they would have a broader business today, but they describe themselves as being in the railway business specifically, and as railways had other competitors from planes and driving your car and other means of transportation, they really decline. Who else can meet that need or that pain point of your target persona, even though maybe they meet it a little bit differently? Another author who I suggest that you read is Seth Godin. He's one of my favorites and quite prolific. He has a lot of books out there. One of the ones that I really enjoyed is called Purple Cow. And that was really a game changer book where he was really trying to reinforce his message about the need for companies to first create amazing products or services before they spend a dime on marketing. Because when you think of it, the more amazing and what he called sneezable, so he referred to people sharing knowledge about a product or services being able to spread like a virus. So the more that you get people talking about your product or service, the more remarkable it is, then the less money you're going to have to spend on promoting it, because it will just naturally spread. So spend a lot of time developing your product or service to make sure that not only is it somewhat unique, although if there are a lot of players in your space, that does tend to give you an indication that there's demand in that space, as opposed to maybe creating something entirely new where you're going to need to create the demand through educating people as to what it is. So don't be put off by the fact that there's competitors in your space. It doesn't need to be 100% unique, but the way that you deliver your product or service really should be unique and something that you can differentiate. One of the things that a lot of businesses will use, especially startups, when they are launching something is the lean methodology. And one of the characteristics of the lean methodology, or one of the steps, is creating a minimum viable product, or MVP. And that's a really great way to not over-engineer whatever you're doing in order to make sure that it really will meet the needs of your target audience. But even your MVP should still be good. It should still be remarkable. It should still be something that solves people's needs and will get them excited. So to sum up on this particular topic, avoid shiny object syndrome. Make sure that you've established your vision, your mission, you really understand your target audience, and that everything you do, all of the products and services that you create, are focused on that target audience or your target personas. Are you creating a business or are you creating a job? Here's how to tell. If you're a craftsman and you'll forever need to be the key person delivering your product or service, then you're creating a job. That's okay, but just recognize that. If you're able to, on the other hand, delegate most of what you do to others, then you're building a business. Now, you can still be the head of your business, you can still be the thought leader in your business, but your key indicator as to whether you're building a career or a business is whether you need to be the one delivering everything. It's clearly more scalable if you can hire people to deliver parts of what you do, but again, that's a decision and it's a choice. The last thing I'd like you to consider as you're establishing your vision, mission, your products and services is your sweet spot. Now, your sweet spot is essentially your unique value proposition. And the way to tell that you have one is that what you are able to offer is differentiable. So it's something where you can actually separate yourself from the competition, as well as you have the potential to create repeatable processes, because that's what will allow you to scale. Next up, I will see you over at pricing.